What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, joined by the Fitty Trent and Kevin Olenek. We are here to review and recap the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Edmonton Oilers on March the 10th, 2017. McDavid versus Crosby, number 2 this season, and we're going to talk all about it, talk about the players, the stats. We're going to dive into that. We're going to talk into the game itself and talk about the teams going forward and what they look like going into the playoffs, all that jazz. Guys, what did you think about the Oilers, the Penguins, about their play tonight, and what did you get from the game most importantly?
T-Dog, you can start.
All right, well, this game, I have to say, out of all the NHL reviews that we've given so far for games, I have to say that this is probably, in my opinion, the most entertaining game to watch so far. It was really...
Come on, that Calgary-Montreal game was better than this.
No. The Calgary-Montreal game was just seeing Calgary brutalize Montreal. This was actually competition all the way through, as Marc-Andre Fleury won the game against the Edmonton Oilers, because that's basically what happened. The Pittsburgh Penguins...
The Penguins beat the Oilers, Trent. One player does not win the game.
The Penguins won the first period. I'll give you that, Mitch. But after that, it was Marc-Andre Fleury all the way, because without him, they would not have been able to win this game. So
Trent. What was the score at the end of the game?
3-2 for Marc-Andre Fleury.
Okay, so who won the game then?
Marc-Andre Fleury. Mitch, I'm explaining this. You just keep on interrupting me. That's the problem.
I'm just going to sit and eat popcorn. You two talk.
Well, all I have to say is that, yes, it is a team effort, but where was the team? Where was the team in the second and third period there, Mitch? That's my question for you. Where was the team?
Okay, well, how I see it, Trent, is that the Penguins scored 3 goals and the Oilers scored 2 goals, so the Penguins won the game.
Technically, the Penguins only scored once. Connor McDavid kicked the puck into his own net for the second goal. And
it would have went in.
That's a direct kicking motion, so I think it should have been waved off, but
Direct kicking motion? He kicked it in his own net.
Exactly.
Can I just make a slight correction?
Yeah, go ahead.
Technically, the Penguins scored 4 goals and the Oilers scored 3, if you include shootout. Carry on with your popcorn argument, though. I'm enjoying it. Go ahead.
Anyways, we're going to get to Fitty Trent's madness in a little bit. I don't know what this guy is thinking. But the Penguins won the game 3-2 against the Oilers. And what happened? All right, what happened? So the first period...
You didn't ask
what happened,
on the game.
No, I don't care, Kev. You're sitting there, you're eating the popcorn. All right, we'll get to your thoughts in a bit.
Oh, okay.
It's between me and Trent right now, all right? So
yeah, why are you on this review, Kevin?
I'm looking at this box score. All right, we have Pittsburgh 2-0 in the first. All right, they cruise from there because they're like, we gotta play the great almighty Canucks tomorrow. Mitch is going to be at that game, all right? We need to play really, really well tomorrow. We need to impress Mitch, so we need to rest up, all right? We need to rest up to impress Mitch because he's going to be at that game. So what they said is after the first, we're like, okay, we'll let the gas, we'll let up the foot off the gas pedal. We'll let them score in the second or whatever. Then Edmonton gained some momentum in the third. I'll give you that, Fitty Trent. But then at the end of the day, when the shootout was said and done, the Pittsburgh Penguins won the game, and Fitty Trent incorrectly predicted the score.
It's true. Well, I originally thought that they were going to lose the game because you sat your 2 greatest players there, Mitch, the GOAT, Matt Cullen, and Tommy Steel Sleeves Sestito. How could you sit your 2 best defensive and offensive players?
Sestito is suspended.
Well, Sestito's suspended, Trent.
He is suspended, but I mean, Matt Cullen, come on. He's your best penalty kill guy. Who did we get to replace him? Like a bunch of AHLer guys? Who are these guys?
Have you seen the Penguins' defense? That's basically what they got out there, bro.
That's true. That's a good point. But, I mean, still, it was sad to see that Matt Cullen was not in this game, and they needed him clearly because McDavid scored a power play goal. That would not happen if Matt Cullen was on the ice during that.
True. I'll give you that.
Him down completely.
Yes. So, as you said, the goal scorers, Nick Bonino scored the first goal of the game. That's 4 goals in 2 games. assisted by Scott Wilson and Justin Schultz in the first period, along with Evgeni Malkin scoring again, which was the kick in by Mr. McDavid. Then in the second period, we got Desharnais, which got 1 goal, and then Zach Kassian and Chris Russell with the assists. How's Chris Russell there, Kev?
Chris Russell's Chris Russell.
You think he's doing well as an Oiler? What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's at age. I don't think the Oilers. I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, and I'm going to say this.
He's going to say that the Oilers or the Flames are better this week.
Mm-hmm.
The Oilers, I thought tonight, yes, they got 40 shots on goal, but they actually, I do agree with Trent in one sense that they should have won the game, but I thought their lack of skill didn't win them the game. I think other than McDavid, this team grinds really well. They hit really well. But I just don't see a lot of skill per se.
You don't think the Oilers have skill? I mean, they have quite a few good, people would consider goal scorers.
They got Maroon's physical. Draisaitl at times tonight made some really plays. I thought past what he should have shot. I just, I don't know. I'm not enamored with this Oiler team. Without
guys, I want to interrupt Kev right now just to say that he is a Flames fan.
No, that's not. It's not the point. Like I'm not saying that the Flames are better than the Oilers. That's not what I'm saying. I think that the Oilers are still missing some things to get to the next level. And I didn't think that Cam Talbot was all that great tonight. I thought he should have stopped both of those goals. And
I don't know about the Bonino one.
Well, Bonino one maybe not, but the second one for sure could have been stopped by him. He let out a pretty fat, juicy rebound. I just still think there's some growing to happen in Edmonton. That's my only point. The reason the Oilers were in this game, if Trent's going to say Marc-Andre Fleury won the game, the reason the Oilers were in this game, I would argue, was because McDavid was outstanding tonight.
Yeah, McDavid was really good. That leads us into the stats. McDavid had a point. Somehow was a -1. So defensively, he wasn't outstanding. He did score on his own net. So, I mean, there is something to say about that. He got 1 point. He got a goal there. He had 9 shots, which was impressive. And he created a lot off the rush, which is what McDavid has been known for, using his speed and getting to the net. Your boy Russell had 1 point with 1 assist. The Kassian, he had 6 hits in this game, 2 shots on goal, an assist. And do you think that the Canucks, Trent, should have kept Kassian when they traded for him?
No, because at the time that we had him, he was
he was bad.
He was a coke snorting boy, and like to beat people. So,
but I still want to say this: I think Kassian is better than Lucic.
No.
I think Lucic played like absolute poop this game.
I mean, he didn't have a great game, but you look at Lucic overall, you look at the overall.
I think he's overrated, is what I'm saying.
I'd agree that he's overrated, but I'd definitely take a Lucic on my team over a Kassian any day.
Yeah, maybe, but if I'm playing money puck, I think Kassian quite a few less dollars than Lucic, and I think they're basically the same player. We have Young Tooth in the live chat. He says, "What's up? Go Pens. Berg proud. Yeah, bro."
So you paid that guy, right? You paid that guy to come with the chat and do that there, Mitch? Because you're
he's defending me in the Fitty Trent argument. Somehow Fitty Trent is trying to tell me that the Penguins won the game, but they lost the game. I don't understand what he's doing here.
You guys won the game. I'll give it to you. You guys won the game. You just didn't deserve to win the game. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Okay. Whatever. But I thought it was an entertaining game overall. Like Fitty Trent said at the top of the video, I mean, it was a fast-paced game. Both teams were flying, especially early on. I think the number one thing I noticed from this game, Penguins versus Oilers, is just the amount of speed that's on the ice. Like, both these teams are really fast. You have probably the fastest player in the league with McDavid, and I think Carl Hagelin and McDavid would have a pretty good race there. That would be pretty interesting. And the Penguins, they basically won their cup last year on speed. That was basically speed and skill. And definitely that's what Edmonton is trying to mold their team around, the same sort of thing. But like Kev said, I agree with him in this standpoint. The Oilers still need a few pieces, and I think they still need, to improve in a few areas. And I don't think anybody expected the Oilers even to be this good this season. I mean, maybe a lot of guys that were really high on McDavid thought that he could carry the team this far. I think that they're doing a really good job, and they're actually playing better than I expected. I didn't even expect them at the beginning of the year to make the playoffs. Now that I see how good they have been, they've always had the potential to be good, but it seems like this year they're kind of putting it together a little bit better. They have some better goaltending. They have some better defense, but like Kev said, they still need a little bit of ways to go. I think in the next couple of years, they're going to become one of the elite teams in the West. What do you guys think about that?
Well, that's just the thing there, Mitch. They're still so young. I mean, you look at their oldest players, and they're just like starting to be in their 30s. So they're young, they're fast. They need that experience. They're doing surprisingly well. Any playoff experience right now will help them, just like the Toronto Maple Leafs are so young right now that any playoff experience will help them. So that's basically what they need to do, is they just need to keep on playing their game, and eventually the wins will start coming. And yes, in the next couple of years, they will become a big threat in the NHL.
And the thing is that free agents are going to be interested in coming to Edmonton because of McDavid, and that will help out as well. And they'll be able to get a couple, and Draisaitl will get better. Nugent Hopkins will be. I don't know how much longer Nugent Hopkins will be at Edmonton. I anticipate that he'll be traded. But I mean, they have a banking system, a good team. Don't get me wrong. It's just I think when they face stronger competition, this is where you see the lack of that skill coming out. I think when you play a Calgary, and I as a Flames fan, they can dominate because I don't think the Flames are as deep as a team like Pittsburgh or the Rangers or some of the more elite teams. I think this is where you see where the Oilers will struggle.
Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it throughout the season. I mean, they've played teams like the Blackhawks, like the Penguins. They're now 0-2 against the Penguins. Teams like this where they kind of struggle at times. And yeah, that was kind of expected, Kev. I don't think anybody's expecting the Oilers to beat these teams. I think everybody knows the Oilers are kind of a middle-of-the-pack playoff team right now, and they're overachieving right now. They still need a few more pieces to get there. They're like the Penguins the first year they surprisingly made the playoffs. Probably with the Penguins probably had less talent that year, and I think they finished 8th in the East. But they were surprising teams. But once they played with Crosby, once they played stronger teams that were more complete, like the Carolina Hurricanes that beat them in the first round, you kind of could tell that they still needed a ways to go. Yeah.
And tonight McDavid 9 shots, next guy Maroon 4 shots. On goal, so you kind of can see where that's going. And there was actually, if you look at the stats, lots of passengers tonight, quite frankly. Nugent Hopkins 1 shot on goal tonight. Eberle 2 shots on goal, no points, 3 hits or 3 shots. 3 shots on goal.
I would say that Eberle played pretty well, in my opinion.
I thought, Eberle played pretty, actually. Yeah, I'll take that back about Eberle. But there were some players tonight that weren't necessarily the best, but they got some guys that are coming up. I mean, Adam Larson, I think, was better than a lot of people thought they were when they traded Taylor Hall, but nobody knew who Adam Larson was.
Because he played in New Jersey.
Yeah. And I mean, they have things coming up. It's just I think they still need some pieces, and that's all.
Trent.
I have nothing. I think you guys pretty much covered it all. Just kind of going back on the Jordan Eberle thing, Eberle now looking at the Oilers team, he's becoming a third liner, and it's the kind of thing where he used to be that first liner that go-to guy for Edmonton, but they're so young and they have so many good skilled players that he really does not have a position on this team long-term anymore. Kind of like a Nugent Hopkins, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes in the future.
Now,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kev. I have a totally different point, so go ahead.
Yeah, as Canuck fan, the only thing I was going to ask as Canuck fans, are you envious of where the Oilers are right now? And do you wish you were in the same position in some senses in terms of a rebuild?
I mean, I kind of would not want to have like an Edmonton's rebuild in the way that it took them over 15 years to make the playoffs again and draft like first overall and have that nothing like result into anything. But yeah, I'd like a franchise player like McDavid that we could look to as our next new leader to bolster up the team and to give us confidence. I'd love to have that, but the 15 years that it took for Edmonton to get a McDavid, no, I would not want that as a Canuck fan.
Good point, Trent. Okay, so what I was gonna say is I think, Fitty Trent, he's talking about how the Penguins didn't deserve to win this game. And also Kev said, a team with depth like the Penguins. You look at the Penguins right now, they're a team that has like half their team right now is in the AHL. Like, we're talking about the Penguins as if they have a ton of depth, but right now they're playing with a very lackluster roster right now, though. This isn't the real Pittsburgh Penguins.
No, but then that speaks to some depth, though, right? You're getting some
people. It does, but like in the game sense, if they had the players that they could have in their roster, like that we mentioned before, even like the Cullens, the Rusts, the Letang isn't even out there. Mata, Daly, the list goes on. They don't have all those guys, and we're talking about depth. Like their depth right now is guys that aren't even usually playing for them.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's kind of the thing today. There was that's the thing though, is that you're this in terms of the thing I said to Trent off air though, and I don't know, Mitch, if you agree with this. I think the Oilers needed this win more than the Penguins did tonight in terms of playoff standing. If they lost, they would actually have been behind Calgary and the number one team in the wild card position if they lost tonight. So getting at least a point keeps them in third. Yeah. However, fortunately Anaheim lost tonight, so they're 1 point behind them. So Anaheim didn't gain any ground. So the Oilers need to be. I don't think the Oilers want to be in a wild card position. I think if they can, they need home ice more than I would argue an Anaheim or a Calgary does, because I think that they can feed off that crowd. I think going on the road may not be the best for them. So, but for Pittsburgh, I think that they could be in a position where if you're in fourth place, you're facing the Atlantic Division. We talked about that last night.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, like they could be in second or third in the Metro and face Columbus. That's probably just as tough, if not tougher, matchup than Montreal. So what's the big difference there, to be honest?
Yeah. And a team like Pittsburgh doesn't necessarily need home ice all the way through to get to where they want to go.
Yeah.
A team like Edmonton, it would be a huge advantage for them to have home ice.
Yeah, and it also goes back to that experience as well, because the Penguins can still win on the road because they've been in the playoffs so many times. Edmonton, this is still so new for them because they've been missing the playoffs for so long that they need that home ice crowd to be behind them, because if they go anywhere else, it's going to be overwhelming for them, especially if it's their first time in the playoffs, which for a lot of those players, it is.
Yeah. Do you realize it's 11 years since they've been in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Edmonton?
Yep.
Makes sense.
And see, that's why I don't want that as a Canucks for like the Canucks rebuild. I don't want the Canucks missing the next 11 years of playoffs just to get a McDavid. I want us to get some good players and still make the playoffs every once in a while, at least, to give us some hope.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are like, oh, look at how the Oilers have done, but
no, they've done terrible.
Mm-hmm.
People seem to forget that the last 4 years they were supposed to make the playoffs every single time, and they haven't ever put it together until this year. This is the first year they've actually been relevant in, like you guys said, a long time.
Yeah, and they didn't draft a goaltending or defense
No.
And it really showed. And I mean, Darnell Nurse is going to be a good player. We already talked about Adam Larser, and I do like Oscar Klefbom. I think Russell's a pretty solid pickup. That they'll probably, I mean, there's things that they can develop in time. So it's the Oilers' growth is going to be, they may not make the playoffs next year, but it's still part of this sort of rebuild, recapture mode. But who knows? It's interesting.
Okay, let's just go over one last question. I think that is a big question coming out of this game. We've seen how well Marc-Andre Fleury has been playing. Currently, they kind of split the action, Fleury and Murray. Murray is more the starter than not. Who would you play going into the playoffs if you were the Penguins?
Who are you asking first, Kev or me?
Either one, whoever wants to step up.
Kev, do you want to take this one?
I think you start Murray. I think you need 2 goalies to win a Stanley Cup, though. I think you'll need both of them. Even you needed 3 last year, so
yeah.
That's why you don't trade Fleury, is because you need to rely on him. But I think you start Murray, and if it doesn't work, you go to Fleury at Rhymes. Yep. I think you need both. I think you need 2 goalies. I think that's another thing where the Oilers are going to stumble. I think Talbot does not have that backup that other teams have, and I think that's going to start to show here very quickly.
Yeah,
Trent.
Talbot I think he's the leader in starting games so far this season. They said he started like 65, and that's because Leonard Brissett is just awful. You don't want to put him in the backup position whatsoever. He's an AHL starter at best. But going back to the Murray or Fleury thing, I'd agree with Kev. You have to give your nod to Murray. Also on the fact that last year it was his first time ever playing in the NHL, and the first time he did it was during the playoffs, basically, and he was doing really well, very composed. So you got to give him the chance at least for the first couple games, see how he does. And Fleury, yeah, he's that safety net. If Murray's not getting it done, then you can go to Fleury. If they're both not getting it done, well, then you have Tristan Jarry in the AHL. That's basically your Hail Mary saving throw. But it's the kind of thing that both those goaltenders are good, have proven to do well in the playoffs before. And either way, you're probably going to end up winning the Stanley Cup.
Tristan Jarry, a.k.a. Aaron Rodgers.
Pretty much.
Mitch, I just want to make a point, though. You started Zeldoff last year. You started a goalie, Zakhoff, who's not even with the organization. And your first game of playoffs.
Well, the first game, that was because we had injuries. That wasn't
right.
Yeah, that wasn't because we wanted to start Zakhoff. That's because we needed
to start
Zakhoff.
But my point is that you need 2 or 3. It's that depth position that you need to kind of.
Yeah, I understand. I see it. Like over the past few years in the NHL, definitely a 1-2 combination. At goalie is definitely a big deal, and even I always try and make a little bit of a comparison between sports, but in the NFL now, it seemed like a couple teams last year, they needed 1 to 2 quarterbacks. You think to the Oakland Raiders last year, if they would have had a backup quarterback, they might have been pretty good in the playoffs, but you never know. So I think that's the same thing there with the goalie and the quarterback parallel. So Penguins win it 3-2, probably one of the most entertaining games we've recapped so far, of course, other than the Flames game, Kev. The Penguins.
I was just being stupid.
Yes, I know. The Penguins win this one 3-2. McDavid, Crosby, number 2. McDavid does score, but comes out short. Final thing, I think on that Fleury or Murray thing, I think Sullivan, if he's not already doing it already, is saying whoever's playing better going into the playoffs is going to start. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Sure, he might head with Murray because he's the future of the franchise. But right now, the way Fleury is playing game in and game out, I don't know if you can sit this guy. He is playing that well. So from Mitch, Trent, Kev, hope you guys enjoy.
One more quick thing. Just one more super quick thing.
Yeah.
For the NHL not to go tonight was a good example. Can you imagine? And I posted this on Twitter. Can you imagine if you had Crosby and McDavid on the same team in 2018, you're not going to go to the Olympics.
I've been thinking about that, man. I've been thinking about that Crosby McDavid line on Team Canada. I've been like, that would be sick. Like that would have the most hype since Gretzky and Lemieux, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And for the NHL not to go to the Olympics to allow that to happen is embarrassing. Embarrassing.
Hey, but who's running? Who's running the Olympics? though? I think it's I think who's running the NHL right now? I'm pretty sure it's an American, bro.
Well, it's Bettman and it's the IOC, but I mean, like for the NHL not to go to the Olympics, like this would be the last time, possibly that the one and only time that this could happen. You got to do it.
No, I'd agree.
Anyways, guys, thank you again for tuning in to the live stream for the Penguins Oilers. Thank you, Evan, for sticking around the stream. Evan's in the stream. He says, he was liking the way the Oilers are going, unlike Mr. Kevil. But we'll discuss that at a later date. It's Mitch, it's Trent, it is Kevil. Make sure you guys tune into the Puck It Up podcast this weekend, featuring myself and Fitty, Trent, possibly Adam, possibly Kev. We'll see what happens. But again, Mitch, Trent, Kev, peace out.
Peace.